Hey, I wanted to show a automation that I built out for a client in GoHighLevel. And what this particular one does is it controls my client's Facebook Messenger bot, right? And it's essentially, we've built into it, it's a bot that runs our Facebook DMs and essentially gets customer or lead contact information and then attempts to book an appointment with that customer or potential lead in the bot itself, right? And then we have a couple caveats. So the first trigger here is if anyone contacts the Facebook Messenger bot, basically if they write anything to my client's Messenger bot on Facebook, it will start this process and it'll automate, and I'll show that off in just a second. Right, it's connected to our Facebook channel. Most of the magic of this particular process is built into this one module, and because I've set up a very comprehensive set of system instructions for the bot to use and operate under, essentially all of the complicated stuff in this process basically happens within this one module. And I'll showcase all that off in a sec. But real quick, you might notice there are three options that come out of this. The first is a timeout. The second is if the appointment was booked. And the third is if the appointment was not booked. Both the timeout and the appointment not booked run into the same exact workflow, right? So if someone's talking to their Facebook Messenger bot and then they stop talking and then it times out after a few minutes, they get tagged with a follow-up tag, and that leads on to the next workflow that I've designed in case of this situation. Now, one thing that I've learned with GoHighLevel is that the more you can isolate your function for each one of these automations, the better it tends to work, right? So in other words, instead of building out a big follow-up nurture campaign at the sides of this particular workflow, we're just going to create another individual workflow that we can send this off to, right? And by isolating them into different functioning sort of singular modules and singular automations, they tend to work much better rather than having big, extremely large, complicated branching workflows that you might see sometimes, particularly in GoHighLevel. Right, so similarly, if their appointment is not booked, they get tagged with a follow-up and it gets pushed to a different workflow. If the bot has a conversation, collects our client's info, and then books an appointment, all of which I'll show as well, this is the rest of that workflow. So a contact is created, they get tagged appropriately, an opportunity in GoHighLevel is also created that reflects the information derived from the conversation that our bot had with a potential lead or a new client or whatever, and then we get my client gets internal notifications that lets them know that it's happened, who they need to contact, what the next step is going to be. If the previous bot times out or if an appointment is not booked, it gets sent to this workflow specifically, and the act of tagging that user or potential lead with this follow-up tag sort of sets off the whole thing here, right? They get shown a specific responder message that's meant to gently see if we can pull them back into the pipeline or into interacting or engaging with my client, right? So they potentially don't lose as many leads that might be interested in the process. And then if they respond to the next messenger bot, then their tag gets removed as a follow-up and they get put back into the appointment conversation bot. It's just going to be a little more nuanced, and it's going to understand that this is not the first point of contact with our potential lead on Facebook. Also, both one of these, if an appointment is booked, there is an automatic calendar appointment that gets booked in GoHighLevel based on the conversation and the time that was set up, and I'll show that as well. Okay, so here we have their public-facing Facebook page that we built this automation out for, and I just want to show you it in action here. So the initial function for this messenger bot is to collect client information, answer questions about the company, and to book an appointment with a specialist to potentially start talking about a new project. So I've built the bot in a way too, so where it should act fairly dynamically and it shouldn't be too restrained by unclear answers, random. So this is our greeting that we built in here, right? And from this point, it's going to attempt to go through 7 different questions that my client has already established and collect information about the user, which in this case we are pretending to be. So we can see it going through the questions and attempting to collect the specific information that my client wants through these interactions. But I also want to showcase how we can deviate in the conversation to anything that we want to, basically. And if we mention anything that is related to the facts and the business information that we built into the bot, it should be able to jump over, give us that information, and then get back to collecting the information from the contact or the client, right? So it works both as an informational bot and as a bot that's meant to extract information from users, from potential leads, and then go and create an appointment. So if I say something like cost or price, or even just mention money, anything related to that, it's going to understand that and give us some specific information from our clients' pricing and all the stuff that we've set up as facts about the business beforehand. So here we go. Right, we build homes for this price, and we have some sort of a copy from the client itself. What doesn't change is our commitment to value, all that good stuff. And now here is where I know the bot's running smoothly because I've tested this quite a few times. But at the end here, right, it's shifting back into those main questions and the main goal to sort of get the user's information and to build out the lead in GoHighLevel, kind of a thing. The other thing I want to showcase really quick is that to answer any of these questions, if I type something that is sort of remotely in the realm of what it's going to ask, it's going to generally, most of the time, it's going to understand what I'm trying to say and to be able to use that as a correct answer, right? So I'm going to purposefully misspell this. So instead of saying I own a lot, I just wrote honed. And see, in this case, it didn't quite understand, so it said, just to clarify, did you mean you own a lot? And I can say yes. So again, one thing that I've also built into the bot is that if it doesn't understand a question or get a clear response, it can ask a very kind follow-up to be like, what did you mean? Here's the options. In other words, it's not relegated to these specific phrases. It's a dynamic AI bot that has pretty comprehensive instructions that's going to let it navigate between a lot of this content and have a larger understanding than if we just said, just say these words, and that's the only thing that it can't understand or respond to. So here it's starting to talk about making a schedule, right? It's giving me some times and days that I can potentially choose from. So I might say, okay. So now it should have created a contact for me. Okay, here it is. Pete Schuler. Here's the phone number. Here's the email I left. Right, it should have made an opportunity as well. You can see here that it has used my information to create an opportunity and told us where it's from, put it into the pipeline, put it in the right stage, given the correct opportunity value, and filled out some of the information from that conversation that we had on Facebook. And finally, should have made an appointment for next Monday at 10 a.m., which we can see up here. Right, and this is in our appointments. I'll show you the system instructions that I also built out for the bot here, right? And you'll notice that it's fairly comprehensive. We have a long list of do and do not actions we want the bot to do. It goes into greeting and conversation mode, where it's going to ask the main 6 questions that our client is sort of wanting to get from leads. Then it's going to move on to making the appointment. Here's all the stuff for that. Also has a little closing message. Here's some factoids that the company is going to rely on. So this section basically has the information where if a lead or someone on Facebook or Instagram is asking questions to the bot, it'll basically come back to these answers in slightly dynamic ways. And then at the bottom, we have some of our personality elements, core personality traits written out to keep it professional, to keep things light and summarized, and to reiterate some of the rules and usage here, right? So that's it. Pretty impressive with the GoHighLevel functionality.